Hey guys, welcome back to my video. My name is Brenna if you're new, and today we're doing a fun video, I think. I'm gonna do a get unready with me, but July reads version. So in this video, I'm gonna be reviewing the 5 books that I read this month, and I'm gonna let you know my thoughts, but we're also gonna get unready together, and I thought it'd be cute, like 2 friends hanging out. So let's go. I have my books and my notes over them. So let's do it. I just got back from work and it was a really long day, but I was really excited to get home and do this video. I also have a pimple like right underneath, right on the right nose where my glasses are, and that's really annoying, but not to worry. I'm like out of breath because I'm so excited. Okay, so the first book we're going to be talking about is You Can Heal Your Life by Louise. I honestly really loved this book, and it was one of those books that is like kind of on the self-help realm, but is more about thought patterns and things like that. And I loved this book so much. It made me laugh, it made me giggle, like that's the same thing, but it made me laugh and it made me cry, and it was honestly super thought-provoking. There's a lot of exercises throughout the book that you can implement into your life, and she kind of has you, as you're reading, like go through these with her, or maybe she doesn't, maybe that's the way I took it, but I thought it was great. And it's one of those books that I'm like recommending to anybody who asks, so I think it's really awesome. I thought it was super easy to read. It has like hundreds and hundreds and hundreds. I mean, that's like obviously, it doesn't have hundreds and hundreds and hundreds, but it has numerous examples on how to rewire your thought patterns. And I honestly just thought it was a great book. So Louise Hay, You Can Heal Your Life. Thought it was awesome if you're looking to kind of heal from the things that you've told yourself growing up or anything like that. But yeah, so I rate this book a 5 out of 5. It's something like while I was reading it, I felt like I was boosting my vibrations just through reading. I was just in a clear and positive mindset while I read it, which was really nice. And it was fun. And I feel like it's one of those books that you need to go back and read like at least twice a year minimum, just because it has so many tools in there, and it's a good reminder not to be so hard on yourself. Obviously the words you think become the house that you live in. So it can help bring back in those negative thoughts that you might not even realize you'll be having and how to just overcome them. Read that book. I got it from Amazon and it was literally only like $12, which I thought was great. So for me, it's like a no-brainer because there was just so much knowledge in it and it was so inexpensive, and it's something that I feel like I'll always turn to. And I really recommend just reading it and like just highlighting the things that need to be remembered. I should honestly like put like sticky notes in here, but like bent the pages. If there's an affirmation, I'll like cross it out and then write my affirmation in there, so as I was reading it, it kind of like was true to me. And people are like, Brennan, like let me borrow your copy, and I'm like, that would be really embarrassing for me if you read my copy. But anyway, so that's my first book, You Can Heal Your Life by Louise Hay. 100% you must read it. I'm gonna jump in the shower really quick, change, and then I'll be back because I'm gonna wash my face in the shower. This is what I use to take off my makeup, and this is what I'm using for my second cleanse. Okay, I'm out of the shower, and I'm obviously trying to make this a little bit quick so I can still have the sunlight. Let's move on to the second book that I read this month. Cute. Okay, first I'm gonna put on this little gel on my neck, like this, so I can do my NuFace. Okay, so the second book that I read this month was It Ends With Us by Colleen Hoover, and this was my first Colleen Hoover book that I read, so I wasn't really sure going into it what to really expect. And I also bought this book blind, like I had no idea what it was about. If you haven't heard what it's about, it basically follows this girl Lily and her two love interests that she has, one whenever she was like in high school or something like that, grade school maybe, I don't know, high school. And then one that she has later in life, his name is, first one's name was Atlas. That's who she was with whenever she was in high school. And then the second one is like whenever she's in her 20s, and that man's name is Riley. You got to really dive deep into Lily's childhood and kind of really understand why she is the way she is and why she kind of puts up with the things that happened in her current relationship. And through these Ellen DeGeneres letters, I just felt like it was my favorite part of the book. Like, I just loved that closeness and the backstory that we got. I thought it really built her parents up, and like we just really got to understand Lily as a character. And with Colleen's writing, I did think that I did get to know the characters really well, and you did feel empathetic for all the characters. I feel like, at least I did personally, which I really liked, because sometimes I like don't care about the characters in books. I read it in a couple of days. It went really fast. I rated it a 5 stars, and I don't know, I really liked it. I know like the one knack that people have with this book specifically is that like it does cover a lot of like heavier topics and things like that. I went into this expecting, like I said, not necessarily like a light, but just a romance novel, like a young adult kind of romance novel. So I wasn't really like looking for a deep dive on the explanation of the types of situation that Lily was in and that her mom was in. So because I think that I had that kind of low expectation, I wasn't like looking to be taught all of these things, if that makes sense. I don't think I'm doing a very good job at explaining it, but I just saw someone was upset because the viewpoint of this was fabricated and did a poor job at explaining what it's really like. But I don't think that was the goal of Colleen to write this book. Obviously she wanted to shed some light on it, but I don't think she was really trying to go that deep. But I could be wrong. I could be wrong. I did really like the ending. I felt really proud of Lily's character to be able to make the decision that she did in the end, because I don't know if this is a spoiler alert, maybe I said that too late, but it's like, it's hard to make those decisions that are good for us, and I think she did a great job, and that takes a lot, and I know that she's not real, but it's an admirable trait that she was able to do that. So those are my thoughts. Also, I'm doing the NuFace right now, obviously, and I don't do it frequently. Like, this is my first time doing it in months, but I want to do it every day this month, or like for the first 2 weeks, just to kind of see what the crack is about, because I bought it and then I wasn't really like that committed. But whenever I use it consistently, whenever I first got it, I did really like it, and I did notice differences, but that's the only thing with the NuFace, is that you do need to use it consistently to see those changes in your face. Okay, I don't know if you can tell the difference looking at this angle, but I feel like this side of my face is a little bit more lifted. To be fair, I do sleep on one of my sides, so one of them, I sleep on my side. I don't know if it's one or both, but I do. And I think one of my sides is a little bit more chubby or a little bit less symmetrical, but no drama. So putting this on this side of my face next. Okay, the next book that I'm going to be reviewing is Normal People by Sally Rooney, and I bought this book a long time ago, but I never read it, and it just kind of sat on my shelf. And it was another one of those books that I wasn't really sure why I bought it in the first place, but I did. So here are my thoughts on Normal People. I rated it originally a 3.5 out of 5. But I think like after I saw the reviews that people were leaving on the book, I like subconsciously want to change it to a 4 out of 5 and think that maybe it was better than it actually was. But this book was about two people. Their names are Mariana, I don't know, and Kiehl, and it follows their sort of like relationship as they grow up, and it follows them out of the end of high school through college and in their like early years, I suppose. Not like old years, but like young adult years basically. And they describe like Kiehl as this like really sweet and just like really liked person, I suppose, and he was kind of quiet, but he was in this popular crowd. And Mariana was described as like, whenever I think of her, I honestly think of like a loaf of bread for some reason, because they didn't describe her desirable at all, and she was kind of like just there. She didn't have a lot of friends, and she kind of kept to herself, and people would kind of like make fun of her that were in like Kiehl's friend group because they're in the same grade, and she was a reject socially, and Kiehl was not. He was in this like more popular group, better, well off, even though he wasn't. But so it follows them, and basically Kiehl and Mariana like hook up, but she's like, oh, we can do whatever you want, but I'm not going to tell anybody, so you don't have to either, and blah blah blah. So it's really interesting. And as they grow up, I think that they've always had this like feeling within them that they actually do love each other, and that like they might want it to work out, and like if they were in a different situation, or they got like another chance of this at the beginning, like things could be different for them. And basically, spoiler alert, they don't end up together. And it was a really interesting story because it follows like these two lovers as they grow up, and you're like, oh, like maybe like they'll both come to and realize what's in front of them. And they never did. They never ended up together. And it was sad because I like love a love story, obviously, and I wanted them to be together, but they didn't end up together. And the first thing that I noticed about Sally Rooney's writing in this book, I don't know if it's like this in every book, but she didn't use like punctuation when people were talking, which made it like I don't know, at first I was kind of having a little bit of trouble following at some points. It was fine, but there was some times whenever I was just like a little bit, had to go back and read just to make sure I was following correctly. But I don't know if that's normal for her writing, or if she chose to do that for some reason in this book, and I wonder if there's any like meaning behind it bigger than that. But she didn't use punctuation, and the story itself to me felt kind of like slow rolling. But what I will say is that I thought she did like a fantastic job at explaining like what was going on around them, and I felt like I could picture myself there with Marianne and Kiehl and like their friends as they grew up, and like the different people they surrounded themselves with. I felt like I could picture the town that they lived in, like their houses and party settings and everything like that. So I thought she did a really good job there, but I still think I am going to stick with my 3.5 rating, just because, I don't know, I wasn't really that overly impressed with it. Maybe like once I watch the movie or the TV show, I'll enjoy it a little bit more. Ooh, I'm not sure though. That's all I have to say. This book kind of reminded me a little bit of Love, Rosie on like a lower scale. I don't know if you guys have ever seen that movie Love, Rosie. It was on Netflix last time I watched it, but it's been my favorite movie for a while, or one of my favorite movies. And they also, the two main characters also miss each other until they're like grown up, until they finally join. So I like that idea. But yeah, Normal People, it was fine. I wasn't overly impressed with it. I just felt like I probably I don't want to say I could have done without because it was a good book, but you know what I mean. So I just washed off the gel primer that the NuFace gives you because I want to have a clean face. Sometimes I leave it, but sometimes I do without, and today's one of those days that I do without. I'm going to be taking my, I never know if I should clean my face, like, here's my drama, okay? I've been breaking out and I've been trying to like set good skincare routines and like consistent ones at that, but I just got this new toner. I introduced a new product. No, but I got this toner and it's squalene and BHA, but I thought BHA was like also an exfoliant, so I don't want to put like that exfoliant on and then another one on, but I'm going to be using the Retinal and niacinamide youth serum from Youth to the People. I've been using this for a few months now. I got it with the Sephora sale and I do like it. I think it's good. My skin is like not necessarily sensitive, but I think it's reactive, I'm finding out. So this one I'm good with. Okay, this one I'm good with. I love You to the People. It's a good brand. Next book I'm gonna be discussing is Commonwealth by Pachette. I think that's how you say her last name. This book was a little bit of a slow burn for me personally getting into it. I did really like the first few chapters of it. I liked all the chapters, but I liked the first one specifically, kind of like getting to know the family before diving into everything. But basically Commonwealth follows two families that are like blended together through a divorce between the parents, and it kind of follows like summers away from home and growing up and like the troubles that the kids kind of run into. It's divided into 9 chapters. They were just kind of centered around like a significant event while the kids were growing up that kind of like led to the greater development of each of the characters, I would say. And I felt like I really got to know each of the characters pretty well, some less than others, but I got like a good idea of like what each character was kind of about, their personality quirks, and kind of how they had those as kids and how they grew up to continue to have them. Like I said, it was kind of a slow burn. It follows the story as the parents grow up and as they get older and everything like that. I rated it 4 out of 5 stars. I felt like I was there growing up with the Kiehl family and the Cousins family, which was really nice. So I did really like that. It was super easy to read. It honestly didn't take me very long, and it talks about just like, it touches on death in this book and growing up and kind of finding yourself and your group of friends a little bit. But it's a good book. I think I picked it up because I thought the cover was cute. I know that this is like a special edition cover, not that that matters, but I saw it in the bookstore. I saw it in the bookstore a couple of times, and then I finally picked it up one go. And I just kind of read it because it was sitting on my shelf for a while, and I was like, I should probably get around to this. So I read it. Super good summer read. Not super popular, but I liked it. I thought it was really good. So 4 out of 5 for Commonwealth. I have one more book that I need to review. And this one I think is a little bit popular in a specific niche of readers. I don't know if like everybody will know this. The next book I'm going to be reviewing is My Year of Rest and Relaxation, and I was supposed to look up how to say this author's last name, but I didn't, but her first name is Ottessa, and I think that's just very beautiful. Let me ask Google.
This is the Persian pronunciation of the name. The same name may exist in other languages with different pronunciations. Check other possible names. Moshfegh.
I'm not saying that. Okay. That's kind of ignorant, but I'm sorry, because I don't want to butcher it and I need to do more research, and I should have done more research before I figured this out. But My Year of Rest and Relaxation, this was the 5th and final book that I read in July. I had started this earlier in the year, before the summer, but I couldn't like get into it. And the main reason I don't think I could get into it was because I was having a really hard time physically imagining the main character, and she doesn't even have a name. First of all, which I think is interesting. Yeah, so she doesn't have a name, but she went to a prestigious 4-year college. I think it was Columbia, maybe, university. But yeah, she's supposed to be super beautiful, blonde, tall, skinny, rich. And I could not for the life of me picture her face, and that was just so frustrating for me as a reader because I always like to just like know. And because I couldn't do that out, I was a lot less inclined to pick up this book and read it. But it was one of those I was just like, I need to finish this. And this book is about the main character, and she's an orphan because both of her parents have passed away, but she's like an adult obviously. And she's living off of the inheritance that she's gotten after her parents have passed. They were both super rich. Her parents were toxic, okay, let's just say, and didn't have like a super great relationship with them. So the whole plot is centered around her being just like so depressed and mentally ill, and she sees a therapist who prescribes her tons of psychotics to try and like deal with her problems. But she goes in and she just like milks everything and makes all of her lies about her medication not working and things like this so she can try multiple other things. And the goal is to kind of like conk out for a year and just like have that time to herself, I suppose. But the weird thing about it for me, it was repetitive, which was fine. I didn't necessarily mind that. I could totally see Riva, her best friend, who's like not really her best friend. I could see her apartment, everything like that. But it was interesting to see how she acted. And one thing that people did say was that they did feel like this was a pretty accurate representation of what it's like to deal with depression and things like that. So I thought that was really interesting and cool that she was able to capture that, because it wasn't only just her that it was affecting. I mean, I guess this could be other mood disorders as well, but it was just kind of like how her internal struggles were melting out and like hurting the people around her. But it's set in New York City pre 9/11. It's in like 2001, but like the summer of. And I don't know, so she does like drug out for a certain amount of days. Okay, so if the camera angle is different or it zoomed in more or less, it's because my camera just died or something. But I don't really know where I was at with this, but I will say my ending or closing remarks rather. I thought that the ending was a little bit rushed or something, not as well thought. I'm not even sure, because just for me personally, the way that the character was described and how like mentally ill and distraught she was, the ending seemed like a little bit abrupt. Like it just seemed kind of abrupt because it seemed, at least from my understanding, that she had made like a complete 180 in her mental health through her like 35 or whatever days it was of like complete and utter like blackout. She's sleeping. She's not like going on benders at this point in the story whenever she's like doing her major healing, but I don't know. It just felt really weird, and it was like, do you even really know like what's happening right now? Like it seemed like kind of just a little bit too good to be true, I would say. So I rated it a 3.5 out of 5 just because I couldn't figure out like what she looked like, one, and I never really felt super inclined to pick up the book, and because the ending didn't really make much sense to me from the understanding that she was supposed to be so depressed. So it wasn't bad, but I could read it again and get through it pretty quickly. Like it wasn't so bad. So I don't know, people really liked it. I thought it was fine. But the cover's cute and I love the pink. Also, for my last few bits of skincare, I did Kiehl's Ultra Facial Cream. That's my new moisturizer because the one that I was using broke me out so badly. I'm so glad I figured out what was making me break out. And my Laneige Lip Sleeping Mask. And I love that. I need to get out of my bathroom because it's really warm in here. But thank you guys so much for watching my video. I hope you guys liked it. And I think this could be like a fun little segment that we could do, and we can talk about books and products and everything. If you guys have any book recommendations, let me know. I like to read fiction and self-help. Thank you guys so much for watching. Please like, comment, subscribe, and this might be the last video with this camera. I haven't decided yet. It was super annoying filming this video because it kept getting too hot. That's embarrassing. But yeah, so stay tuned. Thank you guys again, and I love you. Mwah. Bye.